The check was still in his hand when the lights went out. $5,000. More money than Malik had ever seen in his life. And his grandmother had 4 hours of oxygen left. The couple who'd given it to him were gone. The office was empty, and someone he'd never met just called saying they owned him now. Malik was 17 years old. He'd walked 4 miles in a storm because he gave his last meal to strangers. Now those strangers had either saved his life or destroyed it, and he had 23 minutes to decide which. Because the man on the phone didn't sound like he was asking. He sounded like he was collecting. But before we find out what happens next, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I want to see how far Malik's story travels. Are you in Texas? Nigeria? London? Canada? Let me know. It means everything to see this reach you. Now let's go back to where it all started. Hunger wasn't the thing that scared Malik Avern. Hunger could be negotiated with, ignored, delayed. He'd learned that early. What scared him was the moment hunger stopped demanding anything at all, when it settled in quietly, like it belonged there. That was the moment he realized his body had adapted to not expecting relief. People talked about hunger like it was dramatic, like it roared. But Malik knew better. Real hunger whispered. And the night it stopped whispering was the night everything shifted. Malik woke at 5:18 in the morning. Every morning. Without fail. No alarm. No snooze. He lay still for exactly 30 seconds. Counting breaths. Listening. The oxygen machine in the next room hummed. A low, mechanical reassurance that meant his grandmother had made it through another night. Only then did he sit up. The ceiling above him held a hairline crack that stretched a little farther each year. He sometimes wondered if the house was giving up slowly, the same way people did when no one noticed they were tired. He stood. Standing meant commitment. Standing meant there was no going back to sleep, literally or metaphorically. Before leaving his room, he checked the envelope taped inside his backpack. Bus fare. Exact. Emergency money. Untouched. Food money. Conditional. Every part of his life came with conditions. The house on Marrow Street didn't ask for sympathy. It leaned slightly to the left, like it had learned how to rest under weight instead of fighting it. Paint peeled in long strips. Porch steps sagged in the middle. Windows rattled when trucks passed. But they stayed shut, held together by tape, patience, and habit. His grandmother, Evelyn Avern, sat in her recliner, already awake. She always was. "You're early," she said, though the clock said otherwise. "I didn't sleep much," Malik replied. It was close enough to truth to keep the peace. She studied him for a moment, the way people do when they already know the answer but want to give you space to lie anyway. "Did you eat last night?" Malik nodded. She didn't challenge it. Mercy, he'd learned, came in small decisions. She squeezed his hand, her fingers lighter than they used to be. "You don't owe the world anything today," she said softly. Malik didn't respond, because the world had already sent the bill. The diner smelled like burnt coffee and old stories. Malik liked it because nothing pretended to be something else. Plates came back dirty. Plates went out clean. That was the agreement. He worked the dish pit through the morning rush, hands moving automatically. Hot water stung his knuckles. Steam fogged the small window facing the parking lot. People didn't notice him. That was the job. But Malik noticed everything. Who avoided eye contact when tipping? Who ordered slowly to justify sitting longer? Who smiled too much because they were embarrassed to be seen needing help? Kindness didn't announce itself here. It moved quietly. Like him. At school, Malik became someone else. Not louder. Not braver. More precise. Teachers noticed how he listened. Not like someone waiting to speak, but like someone storing information for later survival. He helped classmates during lunch, sliding notebooks across tables, explaining concepts without making anyone feel exposed. He never joined clubs. Clubs required time. Time required certainty. Certainty was expensive. One teacher tried anyway. You don't belong small, she told him once. Malik smiled politely. He didn't know what that meant, but he knew it sounded dangerous. The notice came on a Tuesday. Final warning. Electricity past due. His grandmother folded the paper carefully, smoothing the crease like she could flatten the problem if she tried hard enough. Malik said nothing. He just recalculated. Walk instead of ride. Water instead of soda. Sleep instead of dinner. Sacrifice wasn't noble. It was arithmetic. By Friday, Malik believed the math. If nothing broke, if no one got sick, if the bus ran on time, he could afford one meal. Not leftovers. Not a mistake. A choice. He ordered carefully. No extras. No drink. The tray felt heavier than it should have. Not because of the food. Because of what it represented. 20 minutes where he didn't have to compromise. That's when he saw them. They didn't look lost. They looked misplaced. Even soaked from the rain, they carried themselves like people used to being listened to. The woman's hands were steady. Too steady. The man's eyes moved constantly. Not nervously, but deliberately. Like he was mapping the room. They ordered coffee. Nothing else. And they waited. Malik's food cooled. The air shifted. The woman searched her bag once. Then again. The man checked his pockets. Slower each time. The server hesitated. She recognized the situation. Everyone did. No one moved. Rain hammered the windows hard enough to sound angry. The manager stepped in. Policies explained. Apologies offered. Dignity preserved as carefully as possible. The couple stood. The door waited. Malik felt it then. Not kindness. Pressure. The kind that settles in your chest when you know exactly what the right thing is. And exactly what it will cost. Malik stared at his tray. 3 days of careful math sat in front of him. A burger. Fries. A side of fruit he'd added because his grandmother kept asking if he was eating vegetables. $20. $20 he'd earned scrubbing grease off plates for 5 hours. $20 that represented walking 4 miles instead of taking the bus. $20 that meant his grandmother's medication would have to wait 2 more days. He picked up the burger. Put it down. His stomach didn't even react anymore. It had stopped expecting things. Across the diner, the couple stood near the register. The woman's voice stayed calm, but her hands told a different story. Fingers pressing into her palms. Nails leaving small crescents in her skin. I'm sure I had it, she said quietly. The man beside her checked his jacket again. Then his pants. Then his jacket again. The same pockets. The same results. The manager wasn't cruel about it. I understand. These things happen. But I can't. We know. The man said quickly. We're not asking you to break policy. The woman nodded. We'll figure something out. But the rain outside said otherwise. It wasn't the kind of rain you walked through. It was the kind that soaked through to your bones in 30 seconds. The kind that turned a bad night into a dangerous one. Malik watched them move toward the door. Nobody else did. Not because they were cruel. Because intervening in someone's humiliation felt worse than pretending not to see it. The couple reached for the door handle. Malik's hand reached for his tray. He didn't decide. Not really. His body just moved. Excuse me. His voice came out quieter than he meant. The couple turned. Up close, he saw things he hadn't noticed before. The man's shoes were expensive, but worn down at the heels in a way that meant he'd been walking more than usual. The woman's coat was tailored, but the buttons didn't match. Replaced. Recently. These weren't people who'd always struggled. They were people who were learning how. I heard what happened, Malik said. And I was just leaving anyway. It was a lie. Everyone knew it was a lie. But it was the kind of lie that let people accept help without losing themselves. I already paid for this, he continued, gesturing to his tray. And I'm not that hungry. Another lie. The couple looked at each other. A whole conversation happened in that glance. Pride versus need. Dignity versus survival. The woman spoke first. We can't take your meal. You're not taking it, Malik said. I'm offering it. Son. the man said slowly. You look like you need this more than we do. Malik almost laughed. Because it was true. And because the truth didn't matter right now. Maybe, he said. But you're the one standing in the rain with no way home. Silence. The manager pretended to check receipts. The server refilled salt shakers that didn't need refilling. What's your name? The woman asked. Malik. She studied his face like she was memorizing it. Malik, she repeated. We won't forget this. People said that all the time. They always forgot. It's just food, Malik said. But his hands were shaking when he handed over the tray. The couple sat down. Malik walked toward the door. Each step felt heavier than the last. Not because he regretted it, but because his body was starting to realize what his mind already knew. There was no dinner now. No breakfast tomorrow. The weekend stretched ahead like a desert. His grandmother's face would do that thing it did when she knew he was lying about eating. The math he'd worked so hard to balance had just collapsed. He pushed open the door. Rain hit him immediately. Cold. Relentless. He didn't have an umbrella. Couldn't afford the bus now. His phone was at 6% battery. For miles home. In the dark. In the cold. In the rain. He started walking. Behind him, through the diner window, he saw the couple eating slowly. The woman said something to the man. The man pulled out a small notebook. Wrote something down. Malik turned away. He didn't want their gratitude. He didn't want their memory. He just wanted to get home before his grandmother started worrying. But 20 minutes into the walk, his legs started shaking. Not from the cold. From the hunger he'd been ignoring for 3 days. The hunger that whispered. The hunger that was starting to realize it had been betrayed. He stopped under a broken streetlight, leaned against a wall, closed his eyes, and for the first time in years, Malik Avern asked himself a question he'd been avoiding. How much longer can I keep doing this? He didn't have an answer, but the rain kept falling, and the road kept stretching, and somewhere behind him, in a warm diner, 2 strangers were eating a meal that had cost him everything he had left. What Malik didn't know was this. The man with the notebook wasn't writing a thank you. He was writing an address, and a plan, and a question of his own. How do you repay someone who gave you the last thing they had? Malik made it half a mile before his vision started blurring. Not from tears. From exhaustion his body had been hiding. The kind that doesn't announce itself until you stop moving. And then it hits all at once. His legs felt disconnected, like they belonged to someone else. Someone stronger. Someone who'd eaten that day. He kept walking anyway, because stopping meant admitting he'd made a mistake. And he couldn't afford mistakes. The rain turned everything gray. Streets, buildings, sky. Even the few cars that passed looked faded, like someone had drained the color from the world. Malik's shoes were soaked through. Each step made a wet sound that reminded him he was alone. Nobody walked in weather like this. Nobody except people who had no choice. His phone buzzed. 6% battery left. A text from his grandmother. You okay, baby? 3 words that weighed 1,000 pounds. He typed back with numb fingers. Yeah, be home soon. Another lie. He wasn't even halfway. His phone died 12 seconds later. The street stretched ahead like it had no end. Malik focused on breathing. In, out, the same way he'd taught himself to ignore hunger. One moment at a time. One step at a time. Don't think about the distance. Don't think about the cold. Don't think about the fact that you gave away the only meal you had. Don't think. Just move. But his body had different plans. At the 2-mile mark, his knees buckled. He caught himself on a newspaper stand. Held on. Waited for the dizziness to pass. It didn't. A car slowed down beside him. Window rolled down halfway. You need a ride? Malik looked up. An older man. Kind eyes. Concerned. The kind of person who stopped because it was the right thing to do. Malik wanted to say yes. Wanted to collapse into that passenger seat and let someone else carry the weight for 10 minutes. But his grandmother's voice played in his head. Don't get in cars with strangers. I don't care how nice they seem. I'm good, Malik said. Just resting. The man didn't look convinced. It's pretty bad out here. I know. I'm close to home. Another lie. The man hesitated, then nodded. All right. Be safe. The window rolled up. The car drove away, and Malik was alone again. He pushed off the newspaper stand, kept walking, but something had shifted. The cold wasn't just uncomfortable anymore. It was dangerous. His fingers weren't responding right. His thoughts were getting fuzzy at the edges. He knew these signs. His grandmother's nurse had explained them once. Hypothermia didn't announce itself with drama. It crept in quietly, made you confused, made you tired, made you want to sit down and rest. And if you did, you didn't get back up. Malik walked faster. But faster required energy he didn't have. His chest hurt. Not sharp, just heavy, like someone was pressing down. He thought about the couple in the diner, eating his food. Warm, dry, safe. He didn't regret helping them, but he wondered if kindness was supposed to hurt this much. At mile 3, he had to stop again. This time he sat down on a bus bench. Just for a minute. Just to catch his breath. The bench was wet, but he didn't care. Sitting felt so good it scared him. Because he knew if he sat too long, he wouldn't get back up. His eyes closed. Just for a second. Just to rest. When he opened them, 15 minutes had passed. Panic shot through him. He stood up too fast. The world tilted. He grabbed the bench. Held on until everything stopped spinning. Move. He had to move. One more mile. Just one more. He could do this. He'd done harder things. He'd survived worse. But had he? The question sat in his mind like a weight. What was worse than this? Walking through a storm because you gave away your last meal to strangers who would forget your name by morning? His grandmother's house appeared in the distance. One light on in the window. The porch light she always left burning for him. Half a mile left. Malik's body screamed at him to stop. His mind screamed louder to keep going. He kept going. Each step was a negotiation. Just one more. Just one more. Just one more. The front steps appeared. 3 of them. They looked impossible. He climbed them anyway. Grabbed the railing. Pulled himself up. The door opened before he could reach for it. His grandmother stood there. Took one look at him. And her face did something he'd never seen before. It broke. "Oh, baby," she whispered. She pulled him inside. Wrapped a blanket around him. Her hands shook as she touched his face. "You're freezing. What happened? Where have you been?" Malik tried to answer. But the warmth of the house hit him all at once. And every lie he'd been telling himself collapsed. He wasn't fine. He wasn't strong. He was a 17-year-old kid who'd just walked 4 miles in a storm because he'd given away his last $20. "I helped someone," he said quietly. His grandmother looked at him for a long moment. Then she pulled him close. "I know you did," she said. "You always do." She didn't ask why he was soaked. Didn't ask why he looked half dead. She just held him. And for the first time in 3 days, Malik let himself feel it. The exhaustion. The hunger. The fear. All of it. "Go change," his grandmother said finally. "I'll make you something." "We don't have." "I'll make you something," she repeated. And Malik knew better than to argue. He went to his room, changed into dry clothes, came back to find her heating up soup she'd been saving. Soup that was probably meant for her. She gave it to him anyway. He ate it slowly. Every spoonful felt like forgiveness. Outside, the rain finally stopped. Inside, the oxygen machine hummed. And somewhere across town, in a hotel room he couldn't afford, a man sat at a desk, looking at an address he'd written down. Marrow Street. He picked up his phone. Made a call. "I found him," he said quietly. "Are you sure?" a woman's voice asked. "I'm sure. What do you want to do?" The man was quiet for a long time. Then he smiled. Something he'll never see coming. Malik woke up to silence. The kind that meant something was wrong. The oxygen machine wasn't humming. He shot out of bed, ran to his grandmother's room. She was sitting up, already awake, hand on her chest. "The power," she said calmly. Too calmly. The kind of calm people use when panic would make things worse. Malik checked the backup battery on the machine. 4 hours left. Maybe 5 if they were lucky. The electricity bill had finally caught up to them. I'll fix this, Malik said. His grandmother shook her head. Baby, you can't. I'll fix this. He said it like a promise. Like saying it hard enough would make it true. He grabbed his phone. Dead. He'd forgotten to charge it. Of course he had. He plugged it in, forgetting there was no power, then felt stupid for forgetting. His hands were shaking. Not from cold this time. From something worse. The realization that he couldn't fix this. Not with walking instead of riding. Not with skipping meals. Not with any of the small sacrifices that had been holding their lives together. This required money he didn't have. Money he wouldn't have for weeks. And his grandmother had hours. He sat down on the edge of her bed, put his head in his hands. I'm sorry, he whispered. She touched his shoulder. This isn't your fault. But it felt like it was. It felt like every choice he'd made had led to this moment, including giving away $20 to strangers who were probably fine now. Warm. Federal safe. While his grandmother sat in the dark with a machine counting down. The knock came at 9 in the morning. 3 sharp raps that sounded too official to be friendly. Malik's stomach dropped. Landlord. Had to be. Here to remind them about last month's rent. Or the month before that. He opened the door ready to apologize. Ready to beg for more time. Ready to promise things he couldn't guarantee. But it wasn't the landlord. It was them. The couple from the diner. Standing on his porch like they'd been invited. The woman smiled. The man held a briefcase. Malik's brain couldn't process it. Can I help you? He asked slowly. Malik Avern, the man said. Yeah. We met last night. At the diner. Malik remembered. Of course he remembered. He'd walked 4 miles in the rain because of them. I remember, Malik said carefully. What are you doing here? The woman's smile got softer. We wanted to thank you properly. You don't need to thank me. It was just food. It was more than food, the man said. And we know it. Silence. Malik didn't know what to say. Didn't know what they wanted. People didn't show up at your house to say thank you. Not in real life. Can we come in? The woman asked. Every instinct told Malik to say no. To close the door. To keep whatever this was outside where it couldn't touch the fragile balance of his life. But his grandmother's voice came from inside. Let them in, baby. Malik stepped aside. The couple entered. They looked around the house without judgment. Just observation. Taking in the peeling wallpaper. The furniture held together with hope. The oxygen machine sitting silent in the corner. The man noticed it immediately. Is someone sick? He asked quietly. My grandmother, Malik said. She's fine. Another lie. The woman looked at him. Really looked at him. And Malik realized she knew. Knew he was lying. Knew he was scared. Knew everything he was trying to hide. Malik, she said gently. What's wrong? Nothing. The power's out, his grandmother called from her room. Malik closed his eyes. Thanks, Grandma. The man and woman exchanged a glance. How long has it been off? The man asked. Couple hours, Malik said. How long until the backup battery dies? Malik didn't answer. He didn't have to. The man opened his briefcase. Pulled out a checkbook. Started writing. What are you doing? Malik asked. Paying our bill. The man said simply. You don't have a bill. You don't owe me anything. The man finished writing. Tore out the check. Held it out. Malik looked down. $5,000. The numbers didn't make sense. He read them again. Still 5,000. This is a mistake, Malik said. It's not. I can't take this. You can, the woman said. And you will. You don't understand, Malik's voice cracked. I gave you a $20 meal. This is. We know exactly what you gave us, the man interrupted. We know it was everything you had. We know you walked home in the rain. We know you're barely holding on. Malik felt exposed. Like they'd peeled back his skin and seen every broken thing inside. How do you know that? He whispered. Because we asked around, the woman said. We asked the server. We asked your manager. We asked people in this neighborhood. And everyone said the same thing. Malik Avern is the kid who helps everyone and never asks for help himself. Malik's throat tightened. We didn't come here to embarrass you, the man continued. We came here because last night, you gave us something we'd forgotten existed. Kindness without conditions. Generosity that costs everything. You didn't help us because you could afford it. You helped us because you couldn't afford not to. The check was still being held out. Who are you people? Malik asked. The woman extended her hand. My name is Victoria Kane. This is my husband, Leonard. And 20 years ago, we were exactly where you are now. Broke. Desperate. Trying to take care of family with nothing left to give. Someone helped us, Leonard said. A stranger who didn't have to. Who gave us a chance when we had nothing. And we promised ourselves that if we ever made it out, we'd do the same for someone else. We've been looking for the right person for 3 years, Victoria added. And last night, we found him. Malik stared at the check. $5,000. Enough to turn the power back on. Pay the rent. Buy his grandmother's medication. Buy food. Fix the porch. Breathe. He could finally breathe. But his hand wouldn't move. Why me? He whispered. Leonard smiled. Because when you had nothing left, you still found something to give. That's who you are, Malik. And that's who we're investing in. Malik took the check. His hands were shaking so hard, he almost dropped it. Thank you, he managed. Victoria squeezed his shoulder. Don't thank us yet. Malik looked up. What do you mean? Leonard's smile widened. This is just the beginning. Malik stood in the middle of his living room holding a check that felt like a bomb. $5,000. Life-changing. Terrifying. Because nothing in his life had taught him that good things came without a price. What do you mean this is just the beginning? He asked. Leonard and Victoria sat down on the couch. The same couch that sagged in the middle. The same couch his grandmother had owned for 15 years because buying a new one meant choosing between furniture and food. Sit down, Victoria said gently. Malik sat. His grandmother appeared in the doorway, oxygen tank rolling behind her. I heard voices, she said. Grandma, this is Leonard and Victoria Kane. They're the people from last night. His grandmother's eyes narrowed slightly. She had a gift for reading situations, for knowing when something was too good to be true. The couple you gave your dinner to, she said slowly. Yes, ma'am, Leonard replied. She studied them for a long moment, then looked at the check in Malik's hand. What's that? They want to give us money, Malik said. How much? $5,000. His grandmother didn't react, didn't gasp, didn't smile. She just kept staring at Leonard and Victoria. Why? She asked. Because your grandson gave us something we needed when he had nothing to give, Victoria said. And we want to return the favor. Nobody gives away $5,000 as a favor, his grandmother said flatly. Malik had never loved her more. Leonard nodded. You're right. We don't. But we're not giving it away. We're investing it. In what? Malik asked. In you. The words hung in the air. Victoria leaned forward. Malik, we did our research. You have a 3.9 GPA. You work 2 jobs. You help your classmates for free. Your teachers say you're one of the smartest students they've ever taught. Your manager at the diner says you're the most reliable employee he's ever had. And everyone in this neighborhood says you're the kid who helps anyone who asks. Okay, Malik said slowly. So you're exceptional, Leonard said. And you're being wasted. The word hit like a slap. Wasted. Excuse me, his grandmother said, voice sharp. Leonard raised his hands. I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that Malik has the potential to do extraordinary things, but he's trapped in a system that won't let him. He can't go to college because he can't afford it. He can't take opportunities because he's busy surviving. He can't plan for the future because he's drowning in the present. Malik felt sick. Because it was true. All of it. We want to change that, Victoria said. We run a foundation. We identify young people with potential and we invest in them. Fully. We pay for college. We provide housing. We cover living expenses. We mentor. We connect. We open doors. And what do you want in return? His grandmother asked. Smart question. The question Malik should have asked first. We want him to succeed, Leonard said simply. That's it. No contracts. No obligations. No strings. Just a chance. Malik's heart was pounding. That doesn't make sense, he said. Why would you do that? Victoria's eyes softened. Because 20 years ago, someone did it for us. A woman named Ruth Morrison. She was dying of cancer and had no family. She met us when we were homeless. And instead of leaving her money to charity, she left it to us. $300,000. Changed our entire lives. We built a business with that money, Leonard continued. Made it successful. And we made a promise. When we had enough, we'd pass it forward. We'd find people like Ruth found in us. People who had the will, but not the way. We've helped 12 people so far, Victoria said. All of them are thriving. Doctors, teachers, engineers, business owners. All of them came from nothing. All of them just needed someone to believe in them. Malik's head was spinning. This is too much, he whispered. It's not, Leonard said. You earned this last night. You just didn't know you were being tested. Malik looked up sharply. Tested? Victoria nodded. We weren't robbed, Malik. We staged that situation. We wanted to see what kind of person you were when no one was watching. When helping cost you everything. The room tilted. You lied. Malik's voice came out hollow. We created a scenario, Victoria corrected. To see your character. You manipulated me. We gave you a choice, Leonard said firmly. You could have ignored us. Most people did. We sat in 4 different restaurants that night. You were the only person who helped. Malik stood up. The check fell from his hands. You played me, he said quietly. You made me think you were desperate. You made me give up everything I had. You watched me walk into a storm. And it was all fake. The test was real, Victoria said. Your response was real. The consequences were real. And now the reward is real. I don't want your reward, Malik said. His grandmother put her hand on his arm. Baby. No, Malik said. They lied. They used me. This whole thing is strategic, Leonard finished. Yes, it was. Because we needed to know who you really were. Not who you pretend to be. Not who you are when people are watching. Who you are when it costs you everything. And now you know, Malik said bitterly. I'm the idiot who falls for sob stories. You're the person who sacrifices for strangers, Victoria said quietly. That's rare, Malik. Rarer than you think. Most people talk about kindness. You live it, even when it destroys you. Malik looked at his grandmother. She was crying. Quietly. The way she did when she was trying not to. Grandma, he said softly. Take the money, baby, she whispered. But I don't care how they got here, she said. I don't care if they tested you or tricked you or whatever they did. I care that you're being offered a chance I can't give you. A future I can't afford. A life beyond these walls. I'm not leaving you. You're not leaving me, she said firmly. You're saving yourself. There's a difference. Malik looked back at Leonard and Victoria. They sat quietly, waiting, not pushing, just present. If I say yes, Malik said slowly. What happens? Leonard picked up the check from the floor, held it out again. First, we handle your immediate crisis. Power, rent, food, medicine. You breathe for the first time in years. Then we talk about college, about your future, about what you want to build. And if I say no, then we walk away, Victoria said. And you never hear from us again. No pressure, no guilt, just respect for your decision. Malik stared at the check. $5,000. A test he didn't know he was taking. A reward he didn't know he'd earned. A future he didn't know he deserved. His grandmother squeezed his hand. Sometimes, she whispered, you have to let people help you, baby, even when it scares you. Malik closed his eyes. took a breath, and reached for the check. But before he could take it, his phone rang. The phone that had been dead. The phone that shouldn't have power. He looked down. Unknown number. His stomach dropped. Because somehow he knew that this call was connected, knew that nothing about this day was coincidence. He answered. Hello. A man's voice. Cold. Professional. Is this Malik Avern? Yes. This is Detective Morris with the police department. I need you to come down to the station immediately. Malik's blood went cold. Why? It's about the couple you met last night. We have some questions. The line went dead. Malik looked at Leonard and Victoria. They looked confused. Or were they pretending? Who are you people, really? Malik whispered. And for the first time, they didn't have an answer. The police station smelled like old coffee and broken promises. Malik sat in a gray room with gray walls and a gray table. Everything designed to make you feel small. It was working. Detective Morris sat across from him. Mid-50s. Tired eyes. The kind of face that had seen too much to be surprised by anything. You're not in trouble, he said for the third time. Malik didn't believe him. People only said that when you were in trouble. Then why am I here? Malik asked. I need to ask you about Leonard and Victoria Kane. Malik's stomach tightened. What about them? How did you meet them? At a diner. Last night. They couldn't pay for their food, and I helped them. Detective Morris wrote something down. Did they ask you for help? No. I offered. Why? Malik hesitated. Because they needed it. And then what happened? I gave them my meal. I went home. They showed up at my house this morning. What did they want? To thank me. They offered me money. Morris looked up. How much? $5,000. The detective's pen stopped moving. Did you take it? I was about to. Then you called. Morris leaned back in his chair, studied Malik's face like he was reading a book. Do you know who Leonard and Victoria Kane are? They said they run a foundation. That they help people. They do, Morris said. The Kane Foundation has given away $40 million in the last 10 years. Malik's brain struggled with the number. 40 million. Then why am I here? Malik asked slowly. Because 3 days ago, someone filed a complaint. Said the Kanes were running a scam. Targeting vulnerable people. Making promises they don't keep. Malik's chest tightened. Who filed it? A kid named Trevor Moss. He said the Kanes approached him 2 months ago. Same story. Saw him help someone. Offered him money. Promised to change his life. What happened? They gave him $10,000. Paid for his first semester of college. Set him up in an apartment. And then, according to him, they disappeared. Malik felt cold. Disappeared how? Stopped returning calls. Stopped paying bills. He got evicted. Had to drop out. Lost everything. The room felt smaller. He's lying, Malik said. Maybe, Morris said. Or maybe you're the next one. Malik stood up. I need to leave. Sit down, Malik. Am I under arrest? No. Then I'm leaving. Morris didn't stop him. Just watched him walk to the door. Malik, he called out. Malik stopped. Didn't turn around. I've been doing this job for 23 years, Morris said. And I've learned that people who seem too good to be true usually are. Be careful. Malik left without responding. Outside, Leonard and Victoria were waiting. Sitting on a bench like they had nothing to hide. Malik walked straight to them. Who's Trevor Moss? He asked. Victoria's face went pale. Leonard closed his eyes. So you know, Leonard said quietly. The police told me. They said you abandoned him. We didn't abandon him, Victoria said quickly. He quit. After you stopped paying his bills. After he stopped going to class, Leonard corrected. After he failed every exam. After he spent the money we gave him on everything except school. Malik's hands clenched into fists. So you just gave up on him? We gave him 6 chances, Victoria said, voice breaking. 6. We paid for tutors. We found him counseling. We extended deadlines. And he threw it away every single time. And then he got angry, Leonard added. Started making accusations. started threatening us, started demanding more money or he'd ruin our reputation. So you cut him off, Malik said. We set a boundary, Victoria said firmly. There's a difference. We help people who want to help themselves. We don't enable people who want to be rescued without doing the work. Malik took a step back. How do I know I'm not next? Leonard stood up, looked Malik dead in the eye. Because you're not Trevor. You've been doing the work your entire life. With no help, no safety net, no promises. You don't need us to motivate you. You need us to stop you from drowning while you do what you're already doing. Trevor wanted a handout, Victoria said. You've earned a hand up. There's a difference. How do I know that? Malik's voice cracked. How do I know you won't decide I'm not worth it either? Victoria stepped closer. Because I was you, she said quietly. 20 years ago. Broke. Desperate. Taking care of my dying mother while trying to finish school. And Ruth Morrison saw me. Really saw me. She didn't give me money because I was pitiful. She invested in me because I was relentless. I failed her twice, Victoria continued. Dropped out once. Lost a job she helped me get. And she didn't abandon me. She sat me down and asked me one question. Do you want this? And I said yes. And she said, then prove it. What did you do? Malik asked. I proved it. Every single day. And when I succeeded, it wasn't because of her money. It was because she believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Leonard pulled out his phone, showed Malik a photo. 12 people, different ages, different backgrounds, all smiling. These are the people we've helped, Leonard said. All of them are thriving. Some took longer than others. Some stumbled. Some needed more support. But all of them had one thing in common. What? Malik whispered. They wanted it more than they wanted comfort. More than they wanted easy. More than they wanted to quit. Victoria took Malik's hand. You walked 4 miles in a storm after giving away your last meal. You didn't complain. You didn't ask for recognition. You just survived. That's who you are, Malik. And that's who we're betting on. Malik looked down at their hands, then back at their faces. What if I fail? He asked quietly. Then we help you try again, Victoria said simply. That's what investment means. We don't give up when things get hard. We double down. But what if I'm like Trevor? What if I can't handle it? Leonard smiled sadly. Trevor gave up on himself before we gave up on him. You've never given up on anything in your life. Why would you start now? The question hung in the air. Malik thought about his grandmother, about the oxygen machine, about the electricity bill, about every morning he woke up at 5:18 because giving up wasn't an option. Okay, he said finally. Okay. Victoria repeated. I'll do it. Whatever this is. I'll try. Leonard pulled out the check again. This time, Malik took it. His hand didn't shake. Thank you, he said. Don't thank us yet, Leonard replied. This is the easy part. What's the hard part? Victoria's smile was gentle. Learning to believe you deserve this. Malik looked at the check. $5,000. A test he passed without knowing. A future he didn't know how to imagine. And for the first time in his life, a choice that felt like freedom instead of sacrifice. He folded the check carefully, put it in his pocket, and took the first step toward a life he'd never let himself dream about. But as they walked away from the police station, none of them noticed the car parked across the street, or the man inside, watching, taking pictures, making a call. He took the money, the man said. A woman's voice responded. Good. Now we wait. Wait for what? The woman laughed. Cold. Calculated. For him to realize what he actually signed up for. 3 days later, Malik's life looked different. The power was back on. The oxygen machine hummed steadily. His grandmother's medication sat on the counter. Paid for. Full bottle. The refrigerator had food in it. Real food. Not expired. Not rationed. Not sacrificed. Malik stood in the kitchen staring at it like a museum exhibit. Eggs. Milk. Fresh vegetables. Bread that wasn't on sale because it was about to go bad. Normal things. things other people didn't think twice about, things that made his chest hurt because he'd forgotten what normal felt like. His grandmother came up behind him, put her hand on his shoulder. "You okay, baby?" Malik nodded, but he wasn't. Something felt wrong. Not bad wrong. Good wrong. Like waiting for the other shoe to drop. "I keep thinking they're going to take it back," he said quietly. His grandmother squeezed his shoulder. "They're not." "How do you know?" "Because people who want to hurt you don't pay your bills first." Malik wanted to believe that, but his whole life had taught him that good things came with hidden costs. That nothing was free. That trust was expensive. His phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. "Coffee tomorrow? Want to discuss next steps?" Next steps. The words felt like standing at the edge of a cliff. One step forward could be flying. Or falling. He texted back. "Okay." His grandmother read over his shoulder. "You scared?" she asked. "Terrified." "Good," she said. "Means it matters." The coffee shop was nice. Too nice. The kind of place where a cup of coffee cost more than Malik used to spend on lunch for a week. Victoria was already there when he arrived. She waved him over, smiled like they were old friends, like she hadn't completely turned his life upside down. "Order whatever you want," she said. "My treat." Malik ordered the cheapest thing on the menu. Old habits. Victoria noticed. "Malik," she said gently, "you don't have to do that anymore." "Do what?" "Make yourself smaller than you are." The words hit different. He ordered again, this time what he actually wanted. They sat by the window. Rain streaked the glass. Always rain in this city. "How's your grandmother?" Victoria asked. "Better. The medication is helping." "Good." Victoria paused. "And how are you?" Malik shrugged. "Fine." "That's not what I asked." He looked up. Victoria was watching him with those eyes that saw too much. "I don't know how to be," he admitted. "Everything's different. But it doesn't feel real yet." "It will," Victoria said. "Give it time. What if I mess this up? Then you'll learn and try again. What if I'm not good enough?" Victoria leaned forward. "Malik, you've been good enough your entire life. You just didn't have the resources to prove it. That's changing now." She pulled out a folder, set it on the table between them. "What's this?" Malik asked. "Your future, if you want it." He opened the folder. Inside were college applications, already filled out. His information, his grades, his story, all organized. Professional, complete. "How did you?" "We have people who handle this," Victoria said. "You just need to review it. Make sure it's accurate. Add anything we missed." Malik flipped through pages. Schools he'd never let himself dream about. Stanford, MIT, Yale, Columbia. Schools for people with money. People with connections. People who weren't him. "I can't get into these places," he said. "You already have the grades," Victoria countered. "You already have the story. You already have the work ethic. All you were missing was someone to open the door. And you're opening it." "We're knocking," Victoria corrected. "You still have to walk through." Malik closed the folder. His hands were shaking. "This is too much," he whispered. "It's exactly enough," Victoria said firmly. "And you've earned every bit of it." His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. Victoria noticed. "You should get that." Malik answered. "Hello." Heavy breathing. Then a voice. Male. Young. Angry. "Is this Malik Avern?" "Yeah." "Who's this?" "Trevor Moss." Malik's blood went cold. "I don't know you. But you know the Canes," Trevor said. "And they're lying to you." "I'm hanging up." "Wait." Trevor's voice cracked. "Please. Just listen. They did the same thing to me. Made promises. Gave me money. Made me think I was special. And then they destroyed me." Malik looked at Victoria. She was watching him carefully. "What do you want?" Malik asked. "I want to warn you," Trevor said. "Before it's too late. Before you trust them completely. Before they own you." "Nobody owns me." Trevor laughed. "Bitter. Broken. That's what I said too. 3 months ago. Now I have nothing. and they're looking for the next victim. Congratulations. You won. The line went dead. Malik set his phone down. Victoria was still watching. He called you, she said. Not a question. Yeah. What did he say? Malik told her. Everything. Victoria's face didn't change. Didn't look surprised. Didn't look defensive. Just sad. He's in pain, she said finally. And pain makes people cruel. Is he lying? About us destroying him? Yes. About us giving him chances? No. About him making bad choices? Also no. He sounds pretty convinced you're the villains. Victoria nodded. Because it's easier than admitting he's the reason he failed. We gave him every opportunity. He chose not to take them. And now he's trying to sabotage anyone else we try to help. How do I know you're telling the truth? You don't, Victoria said simply. You have to decide who to trust. Us or him. Your evidence or his accusations. Malik stared at the folder on the table. College applications. A future. A dream he'd buried so deep he forgot it existed. Why me? He asked again. Really? Why me? Victoria was quiet for a long moment. Then she opened her own phone. Showed him a video. Security footage from the diner. Black and white. Grainy. But clear enough. Malik watched himself stand up. Watched himself walk over to the couple. Watched himself hand over his tray. Watched himself walk out into the rain. The timestamp showed what happened next. Victoria and Leonard didn't eat right away. They sat there, talking, looking at the door Malik had just walked through. And then Victoria cried. Actually cried. Leonard put his arm around her. The video ended. Malik looked up. Victoria's eyes were wet. 20 years ago, she said softly, I was working 3 jobs, taking care of my mom, barely surviving. And I saw a homeless man get kicked out of a store for trying to get warm. Everyone ignored him. But this one woman stopped, gave him her coat, her lunch, her bus money, and walked home in the snow. That was Ruth, Victoria continued. The woman who changed my life. And when I asked her why she helped him, she said because someone has to remember we're all human. That stuck with me. For 20 years. When we saw you walk over to us, Victoria said, when you gave us your meal knowing it cost you everything, I saw Ruth. I saw who I used to be. I saw what the world needs more of. She closed her phone. So why you, Malik? Because you're proof that kindness still exists. Even when it shouldn't. Even when it hurts. Even when nobody's watching. Malik felt something break inside him. Not bad break. Relief break. The kind that comes when you stop carrying weight you didn't know was crushing you. Okay, he whispered. Okay. I trust you. Victoria smiled. Real smile. The kind that reaches your eyes. Good. Because this is where the real work starts. But outside the coffee shop, across the street, the same car from before sat waiting. The man inside lowered his camera. Made another call. He's in, the man said. The woman's voice was cold. Perfect. Now we take everything. 2 weeks later, everything fell apart. Malik was at school when his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. But something made him pick up. Hello. Malik Avern? A woman's voice. Professional. Cold. Yes. This is Patricia Hendricks from the Federal Trade Commission. I need to ask you some questions about Leonard and Victoria Kane. Malik's stomach dropped. What kind of questions? Are you currently receiving money from them? They help me pay some bills. What? How much money have they given you? Malik hesitated. $5,000. Silence on the other end. Then typing. Mr. Avern, I need you to stop accepting money from the Kanes immediately. Why? What's going on? We're investigating them for fraud. Wire fraud. Money laundering. Tax evasion. If you continue to accept funds from them, you could be implicated as an accessory. The hallway spun. That's impossible. They run a charity. They run something, Patricia said. But we're not sure it's legal. Have they asked you to do anything unusual? Sign any documents? Provide bank account information? No. They just gave me a check. Did you deposit it? Yes. More typing. Mr. Avern, I'm going to need you to come to our office. Today, if possible. I have school. This is more important than school. Malik hung up. His hands were shaking so hard, he dropped his phone. It clattered on the floor. A teacher walked by, saw his face. You okay? Malik nodded. Another lie. He called Victoria. Straight to voicemail. He called Leonard. Same thing. Panic started rising in his chest. The kind that makes it hard to breathe. He left school early. Took the bus to the address Victoria had given him. The Kane Foundation office. A small building downtown. Nice but not flashy. Professional but not expensive. He buzzed the intercom. No answer. He tried the door. Locked. He looked through the window. Empty. Not empty like closed for the day. Empty like no one had ever been there. No furniture. No files. No computers. Nothing. Just blank walls and dust. Malik's knees gave out. He sat down on the steps. Tried to make sense of it. 2 weeks ago this place had people. Had activity. Had Victoria sitting at a desk showing him college brochures. Now it was gone. Like it never existed. His phone rang. Trevor Moss. Malik answered. I tried to warn you, Trevor said. No anger this time. Just sadness. Where are they? Malik asked. Gone. Like they always go. They move every few months. New city. New victims. New names probably. But the foundation is real. I looked it up. The website is real. Trevor corrected. The paperwork is real. The bank accounts are real. But the promises aren't. They take people's stories. Use them to get donations from rich people who want to feel good about themselves. Then they keep most of the money and give just enough to their victims to make them grateful. That doesn't make sense, Malik said. Why give me anything? Because you're the proof, Trevor explained. You're the success story they show donors. Look at this poor kid we saved. Look how grateful he is. Now give us more money to save more kids like him. But they paid my bills. For now, Trevor said. Wait until they need you to speak at events. To tell your story. To convince other rich people to donate. That's when you'll realize you're not being helped. You're being used. Malik ended the call. Sat there. Watching people walk by. Normal people. With normal problems. He wasn't one of them anymore. He was the kid who'd been stupid enough to believe someone wanted to help him. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Meet me at Riverside Park. 1 hour. Come alone. I'll explain everything. No name. But Malik knew it was them. Had to be. He went. Because he needed answers. Even if he wouldn't like them. Riverside Park was empty. Rain threatened overhead. Always rain. He sat on a bench. Waited. 45 minutes passed. No one came. He was about to leave when he noticed something. An envelope. Taped under the bench. His name written on it. He grabbed it. Opened it. Inside was a letter. Handwritten. Malik's hands shook as he read. Dear Malik, if you're reading this, you've discovered the office is empty. You're probably confused. Angry. Feeling betrayed. I understand. But before you decide we're the villains, you need to know the truth. 3 years ago, we started the Kane Foundation with the best intentions. We wanted to help people like us. People who'd been forgotten. But we learned something terrible. The system doesn't want people like you to succeed. Every time we tried to help someone officially, we hit walls. Paperwork. Regulations. Bureaucrats who cared more about rules than results. Kids who qualified for help couldn't get it because their parents made $50 too much. Or they lived in the wrong zip code. Or they didn't fit the exact criteria. So we went underground. We used the foundation as cover. We find people who deserve help, and we help them quietly. Unofficially. Without permission. The federal investigation is real. But we're not criminals. We're just people trying to fix a broken system by breaking some rules. The office is empty because we had to disappear. But your money is safe. Your bills are paid. Your future is still waiting. We're sorry we couldn't tell you this from the start. But trust is earned in small moments. And we needed to know you were worth the risk before we told you the truth. You are. If you want to continue, there's more help coming. More than you can imagine. But it has to stay quiet. No police. No government. No questions. If you don't want to continue, we understand. Keep the money. Consider it payment for a good deed. We'll never contact you again. The choice is yours. But know this, Malik. The world is broken. And people like us have to decide. Do we follow broken rules? Or do we break them to fix what matters? Think carefully. We'll be watching. Leonard and Victoria. Malik folded the letter. His mind was racing. Were they heroes breaking unjust rules? Or criminals hiding behind good intentions? He didn't know. But he knew one thing. The $5,000 in his account had already been spent. Power. Medicine. Food. Rent. All of it necessary. All of it gone. If they were lying, he was trapped. If they were telling the truth, he was complicit. Either way, he was in too deep to walk away clean. His phone buzzed one more time. A text from Patricia Hendricks. Mr. Avern, we have a warrant for your bank records. We'll be in touch. Malik looked up at the sky. Rain started falling. Of course it did. He stood up. Started walking. Not toward home. Not toward the police. Toward the one person who might understand. His grandmother. But when he got there, something was wrong. The front door was open. Not broken. Just open. Like someone had been invited in. Or like they'd left in a hurry. Malik ran inside. Grandma. No answer. The oxygen machine was running. But she wasn't in her chair. He checked every room. Empty. On the kitchen table, he found a note. Different handwriting. Not Victoria's. Not Leonard's. Someone else. If you want to see her again, stop asking questions. Stop talking to the police. And wait for our call. You brought this on yourself. Malik's legs gave out. He collapsed. The note fell from his hands. And for the first time since he was a child, Malik Avern screamed. Malik didn't call the police. He couldn't. The note was clear. His grandmother's life was clear. Everything else was noise. He sat on the kitchen floor for 20 minutes, staring at nothing, thinking everything. Then his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered before the second ring. Where is she? His voice came out raw. A man's voice. Not Leonard. Someone else. She's safe. For now. If you hurt her. You'll what? The man interrupted. Call the police. The same police investigating you for fraud. The same police who think you're part of the scam. Malik's jaw clenched. What do you want? The same thing everyone wants. Money. I don't have money. The man laughed. You have $5,000. The Canes gave it to you. We want it back. I spent it. Bills. Medicine. Food. Then you have a problem. Who are you? Malik demanded. Someone who knows the Canes better than you do. Someone they owe. Someone who's tired of waiting. The Canes didn't mention you. The Canes mention a lot of things. Doesn't make them true. Malik stood up. Started pacing. Let me talk to my grandmother. No. How do I know she's even alive? A pause. Rustling. Then her voice. Weak but unmistakable. Baby, don't give them anything. Don't you dare. The phone was yanked away. Satisfied? The man said. Let her go, Malik whispered. Please. She has nothing to do with this. She has everything to do with this. She's your weakness. Your pressure point. The thing that makes you controllable. I'll get you the money. How? You just said you spent it. I'll figure it out. You have 24 hours, the man said. $5,000. Cash. Or your grandmother doesn't come home. That's impossible. I can't. Then she dies. Simple math. The line went dead. Malik stood there. Phone in his hand. World collapsing around him. $5,000. 24 hours. Impossible. Unless. He looked at his phone. Scrolled through contacts. Found Victoria's number. She'd said they'd be watching. Said they'd help. Said he was worth the risk. Time to find out if any of it was true. He called. It rang once. She answered. Malik. Not a question. Like she'd been waiting. They have my grandmother, he said. No preamble. No explanation. Just the truth. Who has her? Victoria's voice shifted. Sharp now. Focused. I don't know. Someone who says you owe them money. They want $5,000 in 24 hours, or they'll kill her. Silence. Then typing. Where are you? Victoria asked. Home. Stay there. Lock the doors. Don't answer for anyone but me. We're coming. How do I know you're not part of this? You don't, Victoria said simply. You have to choose. Trust us or trust them. There's no middle ground anymore. She hung up. Malik locked the doors, turned off the lights, sat in the dark, waiting. 30 minutes later, a knock. 3 times. Pause. 2 times. A pattern. Malik looked through the peephole. Victoria and Leonard. He opened the door. They came in fast. Leonard immediately checked windows, drew curtains. Victoria sat Malik down. Tell me everything, she said. He did. The phone call, the note, the demand. Victoria's face got darker with each word. This is Marcus, she said finally. Who? Marcus Chun, our former partner. We started the foundation together, but he wanted to use it differently. How? Malik asked. Leonard sat down. He wanted to find vulnerable people and extort them. Promise help. Get them dependent. Then bleed them dry. We kicked him out, Victoria added. Reported him. Got restraining orders. But he's been stalking us ever since. Trying to sabotage everyone we help. Trevor, Malik said quietly. Victoria nodded. Marcus got to him. Poisoned him against us. Made him think we abandoned him when really Marcus was the one manipulating him. And now he's using my grandmother to get to you? To get to us through you? Leonard corrected. He knows we care about the people we help. Knows we'll pay to protect them. So pay, Malik said desperately. Give him what he wants. It's not about the money, Victoria said. If we pay, he'll just ask for more. And more. Until we're bankrupt and everyone we've helped is compromised. I don't care about everyone else. Malik's voice broke. I care about my grandmother. So do we, Leonard said firmly. Which is why we're not paying him. Malik stood up. Then what are you doing? Victoria pulled out her phone. Showed him a picture. A man. Mid-40s. Sharp features. Cold eyes. This is Marcus. He thinks he's smarter than us. Thinks we're soft because we help people. He's wrong. What's the plan? Malik asked. We find him, Leonard said. We get your grandmother. And we end this. How? Victoria's smile was cold. By giving him exactly what he wants. Just not the way he expects. For hours later, they were in a warehouse district. Abandoned buildings. No cameras. No witnesses. Marcus had chosen the location. Thought he had control. Leonard carried a duffel bag. Malik's heart pounded so hard he thought it might break his ribs. Stay behind us, Victoria whispered. No matter what happens. They approached the meeting point. An old factory. Doors open. Inside, a single light. And underneath it, his grandmother. Tied to a chair. Tape over her mouth. But alive. Eyes wide. Terrified. Malik started forward. Leonard grabbed his arm. Not yet. Marcus stepped out of the shadows. Exactly like his picture. But worse in person. Something dead behind his eyes. You came, he said. I'm touched. Let her go, Victoria said calmly. Money first. Leonard tossed the duffel bag. It landed at Marcus's feet. He opened it. Stacks of cash. Bundled. Clean. Marcus smiled. See? Was that so hard? Let her go, Leonard repeated. Marcus walked to Malik's grandmother. Cut the ropes. Removed the tape. She stood shakily. Started walking toward Malik. Then Marcus grabbed her. Put a gun to her head. Change of plans, he said. I'm keeping her. Insurance. To make sure you don't try anything stupid. Victoria's expression didn't change. That wasn't our deal. I'm changing the deal, Marcus said. Every month, $5,000. Or she disappears. Permanently. No, Leonard said simply. Marcus pressed the gun harder against her temple. No, no, Victoria repeated. Because that money isn't real. Marcus frowned. What? Open the bag again, Victoria said. Look closer. Marcus knelt down, keeping the gun trained. Pulled out a stack of bills. Looked at the serial numbers. His face went pale. These are marked, he whispered. FBI marked, Leonard confirmed. We've been working with them for 6 months. Building a case against you. Wire fraud. Kidnapping. Extortion. Everything. Marcus's hand started shaking. You're bluffing. The warehouse lights came on. All of them. Blinding. Voices shouted. FBI. Drop the weapon. Agents poured in from every entrance. 20 of them. Maybe more. Marcus looked around wildly. You set me up, he said to Victoria. She smiled. Cold. Final. We protected our family. There's a difference. Marcus made a choice. Wrong choice. He raised the gun. Not at the agents. At Malik's grandmother. 2 shots rang out. Neither from Marcus's gun. He collapsed. The gun clattered away. Agents swarmed. Leonard ran to Malik's grandmother. Helped her up. Checked her for injuries. She was shaking but unhurt. Malik ran to her. Pulled her into his arms. She was crying. So was he. You're okay, he kept saying. You're okay. Victoria watched from a distance. Detective Morris approached her. The same detective from the police station. We got him, Morris said. Kidnapping. Attempted murder. Plus everything else. Good, Victoria said. You could have told the kid, Morris added. Would have saved him some stress. He needed to believe it was real, Victoria replied. Marcus reads people. If Malik knew it was a setup, Marcus would have known too. Morris nodded. Walked away. Victoria approached Malik and his grandmother. I'm sorry, she said quietly. Malik looked up. Eyes red. For what? For putting you through this. For using you as bait. For making you think we'd abandoned you. Did it work? Malik asked. Victoria gestured to Marcus being loaded into an ambulance. Handcuffed. Surrounded by agents. Yeah, she said. It worked. Malik's grandmother squeezed his hand. Take me home, baby. He did. But as they left the warehouse, Malik looked back. At Victoria and Leonard. At the agents collecting evidence. At the life he'd stumbled into. And he realized something. This wasn't over. This was just the beginning. Because people who fight broken systems don't get happy endings. They get harder fights. And Malik had just chosen his side. 6 months later, Malik stood in front of a mirror, adjusting a tie he'd never owned before, wearing a suit that actually fit. In a dorm room at Columbia University, the scholarship letter sat on his desk. Full ride. For years. Everything paid for. His grandmother sat on the edge of his bed. Oxygen tank beside her. Smaller now. More portable. Better medication meant better breathing. You look handsome, baby, she said. Malik smiled. You're biased. Doesn't make it less true. He sat down beside her. The dorm room was small but clean. Nothing like Marrow Street. But it didn't feel like home yet. Maybe it never would. You nervous? His grandmother asked. Terrified. Good, she said. Means you're paying attention. There was a knock at the door. Malik opened it. Victoria and Leonard stood there. Dressed nice. Smiling. Ready? Victoria asked. Malik nodded. They were attending an event. The Kane Foundation's annual gala. The real one this time. Not the fake office. Not the underground operation. The legitimate charity they'd built after Marcus was arrested. Turned out, everything they'd told Malik was half true. They did help people. They did break some rules. But they'd also been working with the FBI for 2 years. Building cases against people like Marcus. People who preyed on the vulnerable. People who saw kindness as weakness. The gala was at a hotel Malik couldn't have afforded to walk past 6 months ago. Chandeliers. Music. People in expensive clothes talking about expensive things. Malik felt out of place. But Victoria squeezed his arm. You belong here, she whispered. He wasn't sure he believed her. But he was learning to try. The event started with speeches, donors talking about impact, numbers presented on screens, lives changed, futures funded, dreams realized. Then Victoria took the stage. "Tonight," she said, "I want to tell you about someone special." Malik's stomach dropped. She was looking at him. 6 months ago, we met a young man in a diner. He was 17, working 2 jobs, taking care of his grandmother, barely surviving. The room got quiet. We tested him, Victoria continued. We created a situation where he had to choose between keeping the last thing he had or giving it to strangers who needed help. She paused. He gave it away, without hesitation, without expecting anything in return. And then he walked 4 miles home in a storm because he couldn't afford the bus. People in the audience shifted. Some looked moved. Some looked skeptical. "That young man is here tonight," Victoria said. "Malik Avern. Stand up, please." Malik didn't want to, but his grandmother nudged him. He stood. People clapped. Polite applause. The kind that's expected. "Malik is now a freshman at Columbia University," Victoria said. "Full scholarship. Studying engineering. Living proof that kindness isn't weakness. It's strength." More applause. Louder this time. Malik sat down quickly, face burning. After the speeches, people approached him, wanted to shake his hand, hear his story, tell him how inspiring he was. He smiled, said thank you, but inside he felt like a fraud, because he didn't feel inspiring. He felt lucky, and luck felt different than earning something. Later, he stepped outside. Needed air. Leonard found him on the balcony. "You okay?" Leonard asked. "I don't know," Malik admitted. "Everyone in there thinks I'm some hero. But I'm not. I just did what anyone should do." "That's exactly why you're a hero," Leonard said. "Because you think what you did was normal. Most people don't. Most people walk past. Most people protect themselves first." "I protected myself too," Malik said. "I took your money. I'm here because of that money." Leonard leaned against the railing. "You're here because when you had nothing, you still found something to give. The money just made it possible for you to keep being who you already were." "What if I'm not that person anymore?" Malik asked quietly. "What if having things makes me selfish?" Leonard smiled. "Then you'll notice. And you'll correct it. That's what people with character do." Malik looked out at the city. Lights everywhere. Possibilities everywhere. "I'm scared," he admitted. "Of what?" "Failing. Letting people down. Proving I didn't deserve this." "Malik," Leonard said firmly, "you're going to fail at things. Everyone does. But that doesn't mean you don't deserve the chance. It means you're human." "What if I can't do this?" Malik whispered. "Then you'll try again," Leonard said. "That's what investment means. We don't give up when things get hard. Remember?" Malik nodded. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Leonard pulled out an envelope. "This is from Ruth Morrison," he said. "The woman who helped you in Victoria?" "Yeah. She left letters. For people she never met. People she hoped we'd find and help. This one's for you." Malik opened it. Inside was a handwritten note. Shaky letters. Old ink. "Dear future friend, if you're reading this, it means Leonard and Victoria saw in you what I saw in them. A light that refuses to go out, even in the dark. I'm dying as I write this. Cancer. Stage 4. No family. No legacy except the money I'm leaving behind. Some people would think that's sad. I think it's opportunity. Because I get to choose what my life meant. And I choose you. I choose investing in people who give when they have nothing. People who help when it costs them everything. People who make the world gentler by existing in it. You don't know me. You never will. But I know you. Because kindness has a fingerprint. And yours matches mine. Don't waste this gift trying to earn it. You already did. Just live. Fully. Bravely. Generously. And someday, when you have more than you need, find someone who needs more than they have. And give them what I'm giving you. A chance. With love from the past. Ruth Morrison." Malik's hands shook. Tears blurred the words. "She wrote this 20 years ago?" he asked. 23, Leonard said. before she even met us. She just believed someone worthy would exist someday. Malik folded the letter carefully, put it in his pocket. I won't let her down, he said. You already haven't, Leonard replied. They went back inside. The party continued. Music played. People laughed. Malik found his grandmother. She was talking to Victoria, both of them crying and smiling at the same time. What's wrong? Malik asked. Nothing's wrong, baby, his grandmother said. Everything's right. For the first time in a long time, everything's right. She hugged him, held on longer than usual. I'm so proud of you, she whispered. I didn't do anything, Malik said. You did everything, she corrected. You stayed kind when the world gave you every reason not to. That's the hardest thing a person can do. The night ended late. Malik walked his grandmother back to the car service Leonard had arranged. She kissed his forehead. Go change the world, baby, she said. That's a lot of pressure, Grandma. She smiled. You've been carrying pressure your whole life. Time to carry some that actually leads somewhere good. She left. Malik went back to his dorm, sat on his bed, looked around the room, at the books he'd get to read, at the desk where he'd study, at the window that showed him a future he'd never let himself imagine. And for the first time in 17 years, Malik Avern let himself believe something dangerous. That maybe he deserved to be here. That maybe kindness wasn't just survival. That maybe giving everything away had actually given him everything back. He pulled out Ruth's letter, read it again, and made a promise. Someday, when he had more than he needed, he'd find someone who needed more than they had. And he'd give them the same thing Victoria and Leonard and Ruth had given him. Not just money, not just opportunity, but belief. The kind that changes everything. His phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. You're going to do great things, Malik. We're just glad we got to see it start. Malik typed back. Thank you. For everything. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then reappeared. Finally, a message. Thank you. For reminding us why we do this. Malik turned off his phone. Lay down. Closed his eyes. And for the first time in years, fell asleep without counting the cost of tomorrow. Because tomorrow was already paid for. Not by money, but by a choice he'd made in a diner 6 months ago, when he'd given away everything he had, and somehow received everything he needed. That's how kindness works. It multiplies in ways you can't predict, can't control, can't even see coming. You just have to be brave enough to give it away, even when it costs you everything. Especially then, because that's when it matters most.